One of the things that makes America the strongest country in the world is our ability to move goods on the inland waterways.
So we can get those goods to market significantly cheaper than other countries, and that gives us a competitive edge.
We kind of got the jewel of the river system, and we've got to keep that if we're going to be competitive in the world, and we have to also improve it if we're going to be competitive in the world.
We have to make sure that the shores of these navigable rivers, the ones that our commerce use, are kept intact, are not allowed to deteriorate.
The Mississippi River, of course, is one of the major arteries that we use to move the produce of the farmers in the Midwest, for example, from where it's produced down the river out to the Gulf of Mexico and thence on to the rest of the world. The revetment program places concrete mattress on the banks of the river to prevent them from eroding and to prevent the channel of the river from moving around or meandering.
The process basically is one where as a stream flows, the water flows downstream in a channel, it starts to create meanders, and the force of the water is greater on the outside of the bends and it's less on the inside of the bend. So on the outside of the bends along the river is where the erosion takes place. So what we want to do with the revetment is go in, place the revetment in the sharp part of those bends so that we can stop that erosion from occurring in the outside of the bends. We aren't straightening the river out totally to just be straight. It's still going to be sinuous or crooked, but we're going to control those meanders in the river with this revetment.
In addition to maintaining a navigable channel, it also provides flood protection in that it protects the levees that we've constructed along the banks of the river, particularly in the areas around New Orleans where those levees are very close to the banks of the river.
The building of levees, so areas of the valley could be inhabited by its citizens and not be flooded out every year. Those levees were built up over the years by the Corps, and the revetments that we use today, that's one of their main purposes, is to protect that levee system that is protecting the citizens that live in the valley today. First, the mat are cast here on the mat field, and they're loaded onto a barge here, barge down to wherever the location is that we need to place the mat. The mat are assembled together, and they have a stainless steel fabric in them, and they're tied together with a copper-coated wire, so we have a non-corrosive system that once we place it in the river, it's permanent, it's going to stay there.
For what we do out here, it's the most efficient way of protecting the banks of the river. On an average day, we can normally lay about 3,500 squares, and one square is equal to 100 square feet. So on an average day, that's 350,000 square feet of concrete. The cost per square is about $250 per square, which averages out to about $2.50 a square foot. It's about the same cost as putting good carpet in your house.
Not only has this system been used on Mississippi River, but we're also looking at other systems on the inland waterway system, which is along the coastal Louisiana. We've placed mat along the Gulf Intercoastal Waterway, the Calcasieu River, and also looking at other options around the Mississippi River Gulf outlet.
What we really are looking for is to come into an area of the river, put revetment on the bank, protect the bank from further erosion, get it back to a stable slope, and then over time have the vegetation reestablish itself. It turns back to a more natural condition. This area is not unlike what we would like the river to look like when we get through. It's good for the vegetation to grow up and the riverbank to reestablish itself in a more natural condition, but still be stable from the revetment that's there.
The mat also has an environmental feature with it that we implemented quite a few years ago.
They did some experimentation with different textures on those blocks to see if that would improve the environmental benefit. And they discovered that if they roughened the surface of those smooth blocks, that it would increase the density of aquatic organisms on those blocks. From a biologist viewpoint, by texturing that mat, it provides a better home for the macroinvertebrates. It allows more organisms to live, to build a home, if you will, on that concrete mat, and that in turn provides more food and nutrition for the fish that are in the river.
Well, one of the Corps of Engineers' biggest missions is to balance the economic benefits of our project against the environmental impacts. Make sure we maximize those benefits while minimizing any impacts on the environment, and indeed, many times, even improving the environment if we can.
On the lower part of the river, there's a need to replenish and nourish the marsh areas that are adjacent to the river. And the way that we accomplish this is by laying the mat and leaving gaps along the shoreline. So when the water comes up, it allows the nutrients in the water to flow back into the marshes. It also brings sediments, which builds the delta.
What we really have is a marriage of modern science and the nature on the river to put the two together and come up with a desirable overall project that serves man's needs and also does it without harming nature unnecessarily.
The inland waterway system, this valuable asset for the mining industry, for transporting what we produce, what we mine, requires constant attention.
And one reason we have to think about our waterways is because if U.S. agriculture is going to continue to grow, if we're going to grow larger and larger volumes of grain to feed the world and to feed our people here, the place that that's grown is where the river systems are. That means that the river system is going to have to continue to be improved to make that system efficient.
Three of the most important missions of the Army Corps of Engineers are flood control, navigation, and environmental stewardship, and the revetment program plays a key role in achieving all three of those missions.
The Mississippi River is a major artery to our nation's economy and is a tremendous national resource that we have in our country. And as the Corps of Engineers, as stewards of that national resource that we're blessed with, we try to make sure that the work that we do on the river is done in an environmentally sensitive manner, that the work we do ensures that the Mississippi River will continue to support our nation and our economy as it has done in the past.